Well guys, today's video is a bit of a funny one. I had a plan of what we were gonna do and then whoop, hard left turn. So our 55 Chevy Nomad, it's basically done, right? The last video was thanking everybody, thanking you guys for helping out, and everybody was involved, and the car was starting to run pretty good and just needed some tuning. Well, my buddy Dallas came in this past weekend, and the plan was we're gonna put some miles on it, tune it as we go. If it breaks down, no one better to be with and all that. Just didn't go my way. We ended up moving some cars around. Whoa, whoa. You'll see that in the video as well. Ultimately, I just couldn't get the unit running properly. We ran into all sorts of issues. I was terrible at filming. We worked 3 days straight, 8 in the morning till midnight or so, trying to get this thing lined out. Tech support up the wazoo. You know, thanks to everybody that helped out. You know, Holley, my buddy John, you know, Drag Week guy, anybody and everybody that could help tried to help. And I gotta say, that's hot rod, and that's what I love about it. At the end of the day, it just didn't quite go the way I wanted. We're ticking down the days where we have to leave for power tour, and you know, Holley's super supportive. We couldn't get the EFI quite lined out just yet, so watch the video. I'll kind of explain it as we go. But we have big changes coming. The next couple of videos are going to happen in a hurry. And I'm not gonna lie, I think we got her dialed together now, and we're gonna put some miles on. So enjoy the video. Don't roast me too bad in the comments. We'll come back from this. See you shortly.
Good for you.
Dan here, D's Beach Shop. So me and Danny had a quick fight, story of our lives. So lots going on today. I had to get these wheels drilled out. So a lot of people are like, why'd you change the wheels? So these are road tripping wheels. They're truck LT tires, because I feel like the $1,000 slicks will literally melt to the ground on the 5,000 mile trip. And as cool as I want to look, I don't have an extra grand to blow on it. So I'm going to put those on real quick. We have this side figured out. Mikey's coming to drop a hot rod off. We got stuff out there like crazy I got to go through. Opal, she gone. We're gonna put her right back in storage where we found her.
She's the nopal.
She's nopal right now. And yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a weird video. Get it out together, do a little inventory on the hot rod. That door closed, this door open. But I wanna get in here, I wanna start picking away at things. So the goal is now, really this thing is kinda done. It just needs miles put on it. So we're gonna put it together, drive it, and if we need to, we can work in the driveway or whatever. And I'm pretty sure later tonight, actually, the 4-door wagon will come in here, because we left that like 85% done, maybe 90. I don't even know where I ended with it, but it was running and driving kind of barely. So I'd like to get that in there and yeah, get this one into a roller, finish off the wagon, put miles on this thing. That's the next 2 weeks of my life's gonna look. You wanna change these tires? Oh, it's so much worse than I remember. Why is that about everything in my life?
You'd have to lift it just a little.
Oh, we got there. What's off the trailer?
Can we just lift it, you think?
I was just gonna let it go down. Or
Okay.
watch your hernia.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this was a mistake.
You want to put it on the trailer?
Yeah. Get off the trailer first before I grab it.
Give me a run from there. Alright, that was easy. Now it's screwing off the opal.
That's gonna be the hard one.
Yeah.
That'll be fine.
Famous last word.
Well, yeah, you did chop it. Wow, pretty rough.
Oh, hang on. Can you let it out a little? You let it out? That's good. Pull it back. Pretty good, just got hung up on a ratchet strap. Somebody didn't take it off. All right, give it a pull. Dan here, DD Speed Shop. So it's actually a completely new day. So we left it yesterday. I had scumbagged my other buddy Mike into bringing the Model A home. And I guess we should probably go over this real quick. Today's gonna be a funny video. We're just gonna talk about a bunch of random stuff. So this Model A I bought 3 years ago, maybe, I don't remember. I paid $3,000 for, or $3,500, one or the other, for the body. It's got a set of 32 rails. It's got like a drop axle, all this kind of stuff. Came with a flathead. It's got big and little wheels with some sort of goofy bolt pattern. I got a rear end with it. It's got headlights. It's got all sorts of stuff that I don't really know what it is. Anyways, I wanted to make it into a roller.
It was in someone's basement.
So this car was in someone's basement. Well, you can see clearly what pieces are all different colors. So when I bought it, I bought parts of a car that I then welded together, and I chopped myself real nice like. So it's rough. It's real rough, but it's kind of a fun little project. I want to make it into a roller, maybe make it run and drive, just do the absolute basics to it, decide if I fall in love with it or not, and kind of go from there. So that'll be coming up. The Opal is gone, and so that takes us now to today, where our buddy Dallas came to visit. Dallas. So he's from Alberta. Anyway, so we were screwing around last night, messing with the car, and today we did a pilot drive. We probably put on 50 miles or so and figured out all the problems with it. Somewhat minor. The main one is the exhaust situation is not good. It is, you can't be in the car, it'll kill you. So I'm pretty sure that it's, well, Dallas pointed out, it's probably the tailpipes. So I have them pointed right at the rear end, which is all fine and good, but on these Tri-5 Chevys, the quarter panel and the inner fender just have like a little rubber gasket between them, and I don't have the rubber gasket. So all that exhaust gas is just coming up between here and then going out in the back. And then we fired up, was real rich there, and it's clearly the problem. So we got to put tailpipes on it. I couldn't get any 3-inch exhaust, but I have that U-bend. So we're going to cut that into a couple of probably ugly 45s or something. Just test it and get the exhaust right out of the car. Then we can deal with it later. It's got some pretty significant oil leaks. Lots. Like, it's bad. But whatever. Now the most important issue that we're running into is the cooling system. It didn't work. So we're cruising down the highway and it runs 180 degrees, no problem. Runs good, lots of power, we're figuring out the timing and all that stuff. But these fans did nothing. They were junk. So the second we come off the highway and pull into stop and go traffic, immediately temperature went up. It was like 200 degrees. That's why we shut it down. It's just obviously it wasn't hurting the motor. Dallas is stoked on it. We had headaches. It was bad. We stopped at the airplane museum though. That was a good time. And then
Wait, did you guys go see the airplanes?
Yeah, we walked around the whole place.
it's pretty good.
Good
You were
day.
busy working. And we'll talk after. So anyways,
Came around on you.
so anyways, the car started overheating. We could have, see where it was going to stop, but 200 degrees is too much. It was only 20 Celsius today, so that's like 70 degrees Fahrenheit or something like that. So if it's overheating at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, you got problems. So I went to the speed shop, see what they had. They didn't have nothing. They had the same stuff I already had. This is like these Performance World fans, which are probably fine, but in this situation, not fine. So we're sitting there eating burgers because we wanted for lunch. We were beaten and broken. And I called my buddy John. He drives he's part of the Corvette team with Drag Week, the real fast guys, Schroeder's. And I said, hey man, what do you got for a fan? What do you got? What can you do? This and that. So those drag and drive guys, they understand cooling. So he said, well, we got these, I've never heard of it before, but Delta PAG or PAG, I don't know, Delta PAG we'll call it. he had this fan. They're not cheap, but we're kind of at a bit of a time crunch. This, I mean, it's used. It was on one of his cars. The dust, I didn't even get a box or nothing with it. Paid up premium. So it's like a 3-phase deal. And I tell you, so he's like, well, we'll just test it out. So I was holding it. It's got a 2-speed thing, and it damn near blew my pants off when I was holding it. But they're not cheap. I would recommend if anyone's having cooling issues, check it out. I think it's $369 US. That's a lot of money for a fan, but here's my excuse to it. For one, I haven't paid yet, so that's also helpful. But I bought these 2 fans, which are useless, plus all the hardware to put it together, and I'm probably into this for 150 bucks, and it don't work. So this, in theory, will solve all my problems. Now, we were gonna put a shroud on it. We might try that, but I think to start, we're just gonna wire this thing in and fire it up, see what it does, and see if it'll keep it cool. So that's the plan for today. I think step 1 will be exhaust, though. Or you want to do this first, maybe?
Exhaust before it's hot, maybe.
You want to do the rad when it is hot?
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out, right?
We'll figure something out next. Okay.
Oh, there's no, sorry.
So we're trying to work
I don't have a
here.
mic yet.
Trying to work here.
Not mic
It'll
up.
still pick you up.
So here's the deal. Now, this fan, now I look back as I'm thinking it out, not that one.
No, okay.
So this fan, even though it's expensive, was actually the cheaper option. What? Hear me out. So I had this radiator in the car, which is a factory Tri-5 radiator, which you can go back a couple videos. It was really nice. I had proper mounts and all that. It was great. And a 16-inch fan fits basically perfect on it. Look at how small amount of shrouding you might have to use or put on there if you actually wanted to. Next to nothing. I thought I was going to save money by putting in this oversized radiator for $300. This one. 2 fans, which are both brand new. And in turn, we still overheat. So we're into this now for 450 bucks. What would have been cheaper was just putting that fan on the radiator that was already in the frickin' car.
And your time.
And my time. Luckily, I got to make a YouTube video where I appear as an idiot. You want to hook this thing up? So let's do a little speed test.
Let me get my fingers in here.
Yeah, get them right in there.
Okay, there you go.
So this is kind of... We need like there's, it's blowing, but I wouldn't say she's blowing very hard.
You need like a piece of plastic or something.
I don't think, once you see the other one go, you're gonna realize we don't need no plastic. Because this one here is friggin' ridiculous.
That's funny.
It's junk anyways.
I don't want to get my fingers in it. Especially this one. Look,
This one is ridiculous.
I'm going to point it that way.
So let's go ahead and get the ground wire. Oh, soldering. How about that? So we'll get this dialed together. Now, he said you do not want to reverse the polarity no matter what. So was it, this one was the soft start and like low speed, right?
Yeah.
So this thing on low is already producing more wind and it's way quieter than the other one. Does this have to go at the same time? Is that how we did it?
I don't know.
You want to just do it one at a time?
No,
It must need
I
both.
think it needs both.
So we'll get that going again. So this thing's, again, like already given her. Now we'll go into high gear. It is ridiculous. So that thing is a hot rod fan. So this is the one, like you say, all the drag weekers use it. It's on like Blasphemy and stuff like that. And so they run 2 of these on their, like, I don't know what it is. The drag week car that literally won that fancy Corvette. So, John, thanks for watching, or helping me out. And thanks for watching, buddy. But so now this thing here, we're fighting if we should put a shroud on. Obviously, a shroud would be the absolute best. But realistically, as you can see, that's how much it's going to get covered. This rad's bigger anyways. We're just going to zip it through. It has like the, zap strap thing. So we're just going to put it in there, hook it up, and see what happens. If we have to, we'll build a baking pan or whatever and figure it out tomorrow. But should be like a pretty much easy fit. We got to trim just a little bit of the core support out. So we'll do that right quick. Jam that thing in and solve our cooling problems for money. It's awesome.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So we got the radiator back in. That was my job. I did the hard work here. You just, a little French it in there so the fan will fit perfect. Now what we're working on is the exhaust tip. So Dallas is doing, now funny story. Many years ago, these tailpipes were actually on my buddy Josh's 55 Chevy.
Look at those welds.
And I got the whole exhaust system and all that donated to me. And Dallas actually put this together. So now we're changing up tailpipes because it was just killing us inside. So now it gets past the car. I had it dumping at the tire. And we're using this fancy honky tonk and saw. This is another Great Western saw deal. So it's an Evolution, something or other. Way too fancy for me. Dallas has already mangled it.
On record, I have no idea what I'm doing.
So he already jammed the blade and put the first dent in it, but this thing ripped, man. It works good, makes nice cuts. Action.
Action? Okay.
Look at that happen. Slow and steady. Woo-wee. That's nice. So
way too nice.
this is way too nice for me. The best part is it's gonna look this good for one day, then I'm just gonna destroy it.
Look at that thing.
Look at that cut. Holy moly. Every time I go with a zip disc, it never looks that good. So we're gonna hang those on. I gotta build some new brackets real quick, just to kind of hold them, nothing serious. Zap that fan on, wire up 2 relays, dump the water back in that came out in that pail and on the ground, and then we'll try it out again. Should be fine. So it's a new day, next day. Dallas still sleeping, he needs to rest. I know I kind of been all over the place there, but that's kind of the way she goes. So I, of course, went to bed, woke up, and I have a completely different direction of how we want to do this. So I don't know where we left last night. Got tailpipes on this thing. Actually, I mean, whatever. They are what they are. Kind of slash cut out. At least that'll get the exhaust right out. So if that fixes our exhaust problem, we're perfect. Now, what I was thinking about is this radiator, or the cooling system. So, I don't know if I pronounce it wrong, I talked to John again. Delta PAG is the name of these fans. And they are the ticket. So, what John did, Corvette John, Drag Week John, I sent him a message panic like, hey man, this thing's overheating. I don't have enough flow. Obviously on the highway it's good. Stop and go traffic, not happy. I got you covered, he says. They have these fans. He took it off one of his race cars that he's building. What they were doing, they had this fancy, like 68 to 72, like race car, unlimited style, nitrous, big block, whatever, drag week car. And that's what they're working on. It had a radiator that was, I would say, obviously not El Cheapo Chinese, but it was a little bit shorter, but a little bit wider, so roughly the same amount of surface area. They had 2 of those fans on it with a little shroud on the back. And that's cooling, I don't know, a couple of 1,000 horsepower, being beaten on, driving, drag week, all this stuff. So my original plan was, okay, we'll just go ahead and put this thing on just like that with the little, these pull-through zip deals. But then I woke up today, I was like, you know what? I mean, at this point, we have the whole day. It's not like we have to go somewhere right away. If we were on the side of the road and it was overheating, this is what we do. You'd zip it together. I kind of like to build a shroud for this thing. Now, obviously the radiator is same front and back. We need something very simple. Something that just flat goes past the tank, has a little bit of a whoop-de-doo. We can bolt it on the top and bottom flange. There's no coolant in this thing yet. I did reinstall the radiator. I'd take it out to do some cutting. I'll probably have to modify this upper bar, lift it up, just so everything fits nice. But really, I think I'm gonna go ahead and take this out and build a shroud properly. Got all this time and money into this cooling system and this radiator and this new fancy fan. Why not use it to cool the entire radiator? And we have like a 350 horsepower small block. So judging by my math, if 2 fans can cool like, I don't know, 1,500 horsepower, who knows what it's gonna be with the nitrous and all that, 2,000, that's crazy. Surely 1 fan with a giant radiator can cool 300 horsepower. So I'm gonna pull this out, kind of do a little playing around. I'll bring you back and we'll start messing around with the shroud. I think it should be pretty simple, but I don't think I've ever built a shroud before, so it'll probably be exciting to watch. So a quick fast forward, I welded a bar in here and I took out the factory core support kind of brace, but obviously nothing moved, so that's good. There is, a lot of guys cut the core support out, the tops of these Tri-5s, and that just puts all the pressure on the radiator and stuff like that, and it kind of separates. So this way you got a big honking bar in it. We're good. Now, this is what I'm thinking. Our shroud's done. Now, so I've cut out what the outside of the shroud is going to kind of look like. Now, essentially the sides of it are just going to go past the radiator, and I'm going to put some foam tape on it to kind of hold it together. Now, this is where it gets tricky. The core is maybe, I don't know, half an inch in from the tank. So, in theory, where I've marked these lines, if I extend this, like let's say an inch or whatever it is, I'll do some measuring, half inch. I should be able to put it in the brake and give it a fold down and then a fold back out, top and bottom, which will then allow me to just kind of attach it to the top and bottom, you know, put 3, you know, tiny screws or bolts across, and that'll be good, and it'll hold it, you know, that half inch across. It'll be sealed there. We'll put the foam or rubber, whatever's across there, and then we just got to decide where exactly we want. In the center here, we'll cut a hole out. We'll put the fan in, and we should have lots of room, and then in theory it should suck through the entire radiator. Now, I'm going to build it out of steel. I got some, I don't know, 20 gauge or 19 gauge or something like that, sheet metal, for a couple reasons. One, I have it. Two, if it all goes terrible, I can weld to it, and that makes life a lot easier if I have to weld little tabs or do something like that, because my measuring and cutting and braking skills aren't quite what I may have sold earlier on. But I think that's the plan. So I'm going to go ahead and trace this out. Like I said, just these little things, I'll extend them out, and we'll kind of play on the brake. I do have this just El Cheapo Princess Auto deal, but I'm thinking we should be able to shrink, and it should just fit perfect. Then we got to go and get some hardware. I don't know how I'm going to mount the fan. I think I might just use those push-through pins to the steel, and I think it'll be fine. I like to test this all on the radiator and just see how much air is getting sucked through. Well, it's like a bench test, because I really believe it's going to make a big difference. So here's our piece. Obviously it is too long on both sides, but that is kind of the plan. So basically where this line is here, we're gonna have to fold the metal down, and then we'll have to get our little measurement here. So I put Sharpie in there, and then we'll have to bend it right back out. Now obviously it'll still stick too far this way, but we can trim that material no problem. I think I'd rather do that, be on the safe side, have a little more material to fit in the brake. So I'm going to do a little tracing and screwing around. Now this is where you always get, it's like you're building a box. You can easily get 180 out like a distributor and have their bend the wrong way. So do that, check it, whatever I got to do a few times. I think it should fit. I'm just going to go around, you know, afterwards we can kind of clean up in and around the, where all the inputs and outputs and stuff like that are, just so it's good. But I mean, look at that's going to sit nice and flat. And once it's clamped up there, you know, put 3 clamps across the top and bottom, a little bit of foam tape. I don't know if we need it, but I'll probably put it on there just in case. It'll be just fine. Paint it black. No one's going to know. It should look pretty good, and it should work very well as well. And then obviously that fan right in the center, or it might be offset a little bit just because of how I trim the core support. We'll move it driver's side. So a little screwing around later, and this is what we ended up with. So I put in the brake. This is the tightest bend I could make, which did stand it up a little bit, which is not the end of the world, so we have our little gap. But we went out, we got some stuff, so I got some foam tape, so we'll be able to kind of get in there. So and this is nice, now it's got a bend in it, it's pretty sturdy. So we'll foam tape the edges, screw it in top and bottom. These marks here, here, and at the top are where the course board is, so the fan will fit right there. And then we're fighting out if we should put a couple of flappers in this thing. So I got some rubber. We might just kind of cut a couple little holes. That way when you're going down the road, the air can kind of escape. Probably all four corners around the fan's the way to go. But this fan, I think, will let a lot of air through anyways. But yeah, so we're gonna get tracing this, get it all kind of bolted in there and see if we can fit it in the car. And don't worry, I'm not gonna paint this.
What's the part number on that rubber?
Oh, the part number on the rubber. Nightmare Canadian Tire. So we got this unit mounted in there. Looks pretty good. I had to run another wire because we're gonna run it 2-stage fan. So the Holley can control 2 fans, or this fan being a 2-stage fan, we're gonna just do the same idea. So on stage 1, kicks on, does her thing. And it flows pretty good. We had a rag on it. It just barely kind of wants to hang on. So that's not too bad. Well, that's actually pretty decent flow. And that's, so now we got the whole radiator going. And then you kick her into high gear. She really does something here, hang on. I think it's unbelievable. So I think we have our problem solved. Or at least a bunch more money was spent. So we'll get this wired up, and then we'll fire it up and let it idle. I'm hoping that we're gonna run the low fan at like 160 degrees, so it's kind of always on there. And then as it gets up to like 185, the big one will kick on, and then maybe have it kick off at like 175. And hopefully just at idle and the heat, it's not that hot today. It's probably gonna be 25 degrees Celsius, so like 80 something Fahrenheit maybe, or 70, high 70s. Then kick on and off just idling there. I think we've got her figured out. Well, we're testing on the old NOMAD. So this thing has had a lot of miles put on it lately. I haven't been doing a whole lot of filming on it, just test and tune is all I've been caring about. Putting miles on the car, getting it figured out. And slowly but surely, we're making a lot of progress, but we're having one issue, and unfortunately, we're running out of time. So what's happening is, randomly, as you've seen in some of the videos, I'll fire up the car and it'll just be dumping fuel, and it won't be happy. I'll reset the tune and it'll go fine. Now when I'm cranking and cranking and cranking, at crank, the Holley display is saying that the motor is turning 1200 RPM. And then if I just step on the gas to try and open up the butterflies, it might spark to life and make just a little bit of boom, 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 like it's kind of falling on its face. And the Holley will read like 4,000 or 5,000 RPM. I'll reset it, I'll fire it up, and it just blows black smoke out like crazy. So I believe what is happening is the Holley, and I will say I've talked to Holley about it, they've been great. They're awesome to deal with. We're in a time crunch. Somehow, some way, the Holley, I believe, is getting the impression the motor is really turning a lot of RPM, and it is dumping fuel at crank as if it's at, part throttle. Then the second it starts to come to life, it's dumping fuel like it's 5,000 RPM. So it can't run and all that stuff. So it's either getting a bad signal from the distributor or there's something there. Now, I don't know if I have gone through this thing top to bottom with wiring and that stuff. I've had my old man look at it. My buddy Dallas is here talking through tech support. I do feel confident I have it pretty close to right. So the next step is this distributor. What I did yesterday, I got a 71 Nova with a big block in it, and it had a tunnel ram on it, so it has a tiny distributor. I brought that distributor and a regular coil, and we're just gonna put that on for a test purpose. So we're gonna lose all the timing abilities that this distributor has, which is unfortunate, but it'll be a test. Now, I feel like I've done a lot of fault tracing. Unfortunately, we're at the point now where it's changing parts and seeing if that is gonna change our result. So that's what we're gonna do today. It's a big job, unfortunately. Like the back throttle body has to come off, the wiper motor has to come out. All sorts of screwing around, pull the distributor out, pull a new one in. I then have to redo some rewiring, but simple wiring, to put that distributor in, the old one wire, and hope for the best. So that's the plan today. Otherwise, when it's running pretty good. So that's what we're doing today. And I'm hoping we get to the end of it. I'd like to put some miles on it a little bit. And honestly, I'd like to put a back seat in this thing yet. We'll see how the day goes. It's been days. The video's all over the place, I realize, but that's tuning hot rods for you. So this is what happens when you think tunnel rims are cool. So to get the distributor out, we have to take off the wiper motor, the rear throttle body, a bunch of screwing around with all the fasteners and whatnot to pull that little mini distributor out. Now, I have a couple of oil leaks in this thing. It's leaking oil from the back and the front. The front, I believe, is the front of the oil pan. I had the pan off this thing many years ago to modify the pan for the steering linkage. And when I put it back together, I probably just filled it full of silicone, think I'll get it later. I do have a one-piece oil pan, and we may be changing that, not today, obviously, at some point. The back, though, I was like, this thing's just pouring oil. And when I pulled the distributor out, probably gonna be terrible, but it looks like, I thought it was back of the intake, but the gasket on the distributor was soaking, and there's just a pile of oil. Looks like it's running down from there. So if that's it, that's good and bad. I'm gonna maybe scuff up the metal on the intake manifold, because it's like painted aluminum or anodized, whatever it is. And maybe I'll run double gaskets, see if that helps. When we put this new distributor in, it was tight, obviously, like it wouldn't move. That just, I should probably say that. That was not our timing issue. It was locked down tight. It was moving. Guaranteed. I double checked that. So now we're at the point now where basically we got to stab a distributor in. So wait for my buddy Dallas to get up. He's a little beauty sleep. We'll bump it over, find number one, distributor in, set the timing, old school, and rewire it. But in the meantime, I'm going to put the coil in, a few little things like that, and it should all work out. Well, it should go together. Oh well, guys, it's another new day. I'm tired, a little bit beaten, so I haven't been filming much lately. Over the last 3 days, my buddy Dallas was in town, and I had my old man over. We had some local guys, like some tuning guys and all that. We have thrown the kitchen sink at this thing, and I just can't figure it out. And the problem we run into, I can't figure it out right now. There's no doubt I can. Anybody can figure out anything. You just got to stick with it. The problem is power tour is very, very soon. And this thing, the entire car doesn't have any miles on it, and we have to get miles on it. The plan this weekend was my buddy Dallas to come out. We were going to go on a little road trip, and then nothing better to have this guy, turn wrenches if we have any issues. We can figure it out and get back. We could barely leave the block. It just didn't work out. So like I said, we're throwing the kitchen sink at it. We've been on the phone with tech support and all that, and there's more and more things to do, for sure. But I talked to Holley, and when it comes to the time frame we have, they're going to stand tall. We're going to get some carburetors. We're going to make this thing a cool, simple hot rod so we can make the tour, because it's my favorite week of the year. It's important to be down there. We want to see all you guys, and I just want to friggin' get there. And I don't know if this is out of my league for right now. At one point, a HEI distributor was out of my league, and I managed to figure that out, and I will figure this out. So the plan is, we're hopefully going to get some parts overnighted here. This thing's coming apart. We're going to put some Holley goodies on top, a little antiquated stuff. And this stuff will go on something else, whether it goes back on this car or it goes on my 55 or a Chevy 2 or whatever. But that'll happen when there's not a deadline. And the problem is deadlines sneak up on all of us. I honestly thought this car would be like done, ready to go. I'd be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna turn the key and pack the cooler before we go. And looking at the calendar, we don't have much time left. So we're gonna make it work at all costs. So, Holley's helped me out big time. They've been great. This is just, stuff happens. The way she goes. So look forward to the next video where the Nomad gets blown apart yet one more time. The last time for the first time, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for supporting me along the way, and leave a comment, let me know you were all right.